Hey guys, welcome to the vlog. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So the first video we ever did was about, from Brennan's perspective, dating somebody with a disability. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of do a follow-up to that on what it's like to be married with somebody with a disability. Now, obviously, Brennan, I'm the only one Brennan's ever been married to, so he can't really compare what it's like to be married to a normal person. But we're just gonna kind of do like a question answer. We've already talked about the dating aspect, but tell me, like, when we got engaged or when we were talking about marriage, like, what were some of your concerns about marrying me specifically because of my disability?
Things together, going on. I like to be outside, going on hikes, doing things like that is probably a hard thing for me. Be able to figure out a way to be able to know how to date each other, do things while we're married as well, still going on dates. So I think that those are probably some of the hardest things. But I think the ultimate decision was that, you know, we'll make it work, we'll make it happen.
So what, like, when you were nervous or you had a question, like, what would we do as a couple to alleviate some of those fears? Would you talk to me about those fears? Would we go over different scenarios? Like, how did you become more comfortable with the idea of marrying me?
I think it was more of not a matter of having to feel comfortable. I think it was just a matter of knowing, hey, this is the right person you need to be with. Just like any other feeling, I don't think it was a matter of, oh, hey, well, she has a disability, or do I live with her having a disability? I don't think that was the deciding factor of marrying you. I think any other scenario, marrying anyone without a disability or with a disability was not my deciding factor. It was more of, hey, you know, is she a great person? Is she going to be a great mom? Is she a great person do we get along? Do we make good decisions? Do we talk to each other? Do we show love to each other? Do we actually love each other? I think that's probably the ultimate deciding factor of what really matters the most. Was to pray about it, like any other thing of getting married, was that was the deciding factor. That wasn't...
Out of it, when you were considering marrying me, it wasn't, can I handle the disability? It's, do I love her? Is she gonna be a good mom? Is she gonna be a good wife? Are we gonna get along? And the disability was kind of the second point of it.
Yeah, disability, I mean, I think it was more of a hard thing when we were dating. I think that was more of a milestone. As we got married, I mean, obviously got thinking about, you know, when we were gonna be married, you know, what are the sacrifices that I got to give up to be able to, you know, be with you and things like that, you know. But going hiking and stuff like that, it's more of a challenge for you. But I think when it comes to doing things as a family, I don't think that stops us from doing things. I think also when it comes to actually thinking about like what it's going to be like in the future, you know, as your disability and as you're being able to walk kind of makes it harder on your body as you get older by age. I think that was also one of my deciding factors too, is, you know, well, is that something that I'm going to be able to handle? Well, I mean, I thought, well, what if I was to have a disability and I got in a car accident and you're going to have to take care of me, and, you know, we're both going to be in wheelchairs, so it doesn't really matter. I think at some point that either I take care of you or you turn around and take care of me if I got in a horrible car accident. So I don't think having a disability and being able to have that hold me back from being with you and being married, I don't think that might be a really big factor for someone else. But I mean, knowing that you can do things, we can still do things together. We just find other things to do together. That's the thing is, you know, and if there's something that I enjoy doing, like hiking, you know, I've thrown that out there a couple times, then I'll go with my brother, or I'll go with my going to basketball games, going to football games, going to those type of things, going to plays, staying at hotels. I mean, we can do those type of things, what a normal couple has. So thinking of all of that was overwhelming to me, but at the same time, I don't think any of that was, at that point in my life when we were getting married was more overwhelming. But as time has gone by, it's been easier to figure it out. You kind of just figure it out as we go.
Well, when things have gotten hard in our marriage, as far as, or like, man, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have married somebody without a disability or something. If that thought has ever like come up, what thought gets you through that? Oh, it's okay. It's fine. I still love her. It doesn't matter. We'll get through this. What gets you through those times where you're questioning?
I think I had more of those thoughts at the beginning. As towards the end, I've thought about, hey, well, what if we were, if she didn't have a disability, would we be able to do things differently? Not really. Having a baby and getting Janie around the house is more, we have to put a little more thought into it. I mean, whereas I think anybody, but regardless if it's a physical or a mental disability, I don't think it really matters, does it? To the point where I think that shouldn't be a deciding factor on anything.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before, like, I have a physical disability, you might have a mental disability like depression or something like that. And so everybody has some type of something where each other as a spouse has to help them through that.
Yeah.
And this is for anybody that has a disability or not. You could always think, I wonder what would have happened if I would have married somebody different. But you can't think that way because this is who you married. And so we were taking a marriage and family class while we were engaged, and one of the quotes that was said was, choose the one you love and then love that choice. So regardless of if you're thinking, what would be different if I married somebody else that was normal, or if I married somebody besides Brennan, how would it be different? It doesn't matter because it's not. So you just learn to love the choice you made and stick with that choice.
Well, how was it for you? Let me ask you a question. How was it for you marrying me? You marry someone that maybe you weren't anticipating getting married. What do you think if you were to marry, like, I don't have a disability, so what was it for you? What were your thoughts?
Didn't know if I would have that chance. And then I thought, am I just going to settle for the first person that comes around? And that wasn't the case with Brennan. I really liked about Brennan and kept me like interested in coming back was he wasn't afraid to tell me what made him nervous. So like when we were dating, he would say, well, are you going to be able to do this? Or if we get married, are you going to be able to have kids? And most guys would have just not dated me, right? They would have just given up. But Brennan was able to ask questions. And I was able to, relieve some of those concerns. But I think too, like, I had to put aside some personality traits that I didn't expect to marry somebody with.
Well, and
being married, it's more of a permanent thing. And so, like, there's going to be things that come up when you're married that you're able to hide when you're dating, right? Like, if you're messy, or if you have, like, a really big anger problem, or if I don't do the dishes or whatever. But once you're married, it's like you can't just give up. And so some of these questions that Brennan had about me and the disability, I didn't know the answer to. And it was just like, well, we're just going to have to figure it out. Just like Brennan didn't have the answer to some of his questions, like, am I going to go to school? Or am I going to regret my decision of getting married? Or am I going to resent you? Like those types of things. But once you get married, it's like, well, I love you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yep. So if these things come up, it's okay, I love you anyway. Now, obviously, traits of the person that you love that come up when you're married that didn't come up when you're dating, and you just have to accept it. So Brennan accepts me for all of me. He accepts me when I fall down. He accepts me when I have to say, Brennan, I can't give our child the bath. You're going to have to do it. And I accept Brennan when he gets mad or buys 50 things on Amazon and doesn't tell me, or whatever the case may be, which that does happen, but it's okay.
It's okay, she does the same thing to me.
But see, like, being married is more of a permanent thing. It's more of a commitment. And once you make that choice, you just got to stick with it. And I think, at least for me, the longer we've been married, the more that I've fallen in love with Brendan and respect Brendan more. So the little mistakes that he makes, I'm able to just whatever. And I would assume it's the same for you.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same too. I think going from the dating scenario, being married for almost 4 years here so far, and having Janie, I think it's really changed our outlook on how we actually do things in our life and stuff like that. So, and as time tells, we don't know more of what will happen. But up to this point, we've had a lot of struggles and getting past a lot of hurdles and, disagreeing on things and, like every other couple has, and the good times and the lows. And I think that's going to happen for anyone, whether, you have someone in your the significant other has a disability or a mental disability, or, I don't think that really matters and defines how your relationship is and how it should be. It's a matter of how much do you love that person, no matter who they are.
Well, and I think most of our difficulty or most of our arguments or disagreements or whatever are not even about the disability. That it came up, like you said, a lot when we were dating and maybe when we were first married. But now it's more normal couple things that I think every couple fights about. One last question. If you had advice for somebody that was thinking about marrying somebody with either a physical or a mental disability, or dating somebody, or even somebody with a disability who's considering dating somebody that's normal, like what advice would you give to them?
All you got to do is just be able to look at that person and look, I might get a little religious here, but looking at them to see how God sees them. And I think that was all of what was up here and what was in her heart. I think that was probably the most deciding factor for me is, what drives her to do her best every day? What drives her, if she's going to be a good mom to my kids? Is she going to be a good spouse? Is she going to be reliable? Is she a good communicator? I think those were kind of the more things, because physically and all that stuff is what's not going to matter in the long run. Is because if I had a mental disability or I got in a car accident, my physical, she's going to see me the same way that I see her, or vice versa. I mean, someday if it happens to me, she's going to have to be like, oh no, well, Brennan's not able to move around or do those things anymore. I think that she would probably be in the same scenario as me. Maybe it'd be easier because she's had a disability, but I think with those, if you're contemplating these type of things, or, oh, well, I can't date anyone with that disability because that's too hard to make a decision on. I don't think that should be your deciding factor for me. It was hard, but at some point I was like, you know what? If I love Cassie enough, the disability doesn't matter to me, because anyone, as you get old, your body degrades and stuff like that. So right now, it may seem more important about someone having a disability, or what's on the outside is the most important right now. But as time's gone by, I can definitely tell that Cassie's physical walking and stuff like that after having Janie is a little bit harder, so I have to help her a little bit more. But that's just what happens as time goes by. And am I going to let that stop me? No, I'm not. So I think being able to do things together and all that stuff, it should be what you see, and what you see in that person is what matters the most. What's on the inside, and not what's on the outside, not what you see, because that's all going to change with time. I'm going to get white hair. She's going to get white hair. She's probably going to be in a permanent wheelchair. Someday I'm going to be an old fart and be in a wheelchair. So are we going to look at each other differently then? And I don't think that should decide. I think it's mattering what's in here and what's up and how you use this thing. But mainly what's in here and how you feel about each other, I think, is what matters the most.
One other word of advice, and this goes for any marriage. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to go to counseling if you need it. Counseling is there not only if your marriage is you feel like your marriage is gonna die. It's there so that your marriage doesn't get to that point. Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you next time.